Continuing with solving quadratic equations by factoring, we're at number 6. The first thing I want to do, because I have terms on both sides of my equal sign, I want to distribute in that 4. 4 times x squared, 4x squared, 4 times 3 is negative 12 equals x squared minus 5x. Simplifying the x squareds first, subtracting x squared from both sides. 3x squared minus 12 is equal to negative 5x. Now I want to bring this 5x over and do two things. It's going to change signs from negative to positive, and I want to put it in decreasing power. So I have 3x squared plus 5x minus 12 is equal to 0. So I've set this equal to 0 and put this in decreasing power. Because this has a coefficient of 3, the method for factoring we'll have to use is bottoms up. So I'm going to multiply in 3 times 12, x squared plus 5x minus 3 times 12, which is 36. Now I factor that, setting up the two binomials equal to 0. The signs will be different. Since this is a difference, the signs will be different. X plus, x minus. The question is, what factors of 36 subtract and give us 5? That would be 9 and 4. The bigger number 9 gets that sign positive, and 4 gets the negative. I have to remember that if I multiply in by 3, I have to divide out by 3. So right here, I'm going to divide both terms by 3. Whenever you can reduce a fraction, you reduce it. So this is x plus 3. This does not reduce, so 3 goes from the bottom up. Get that erased. And it becomes 3x minus 4 is equal to 0. Then you're going to set both of those equal to 0. X plus 3 equals to 0. Solve for x. X equals negative 3. 3x minus 4 equals to 0. Solve for x. And x equals 4/3. So there from least to greatest is negative 3 4/3. Number 7. Again, I see my x squareds, but if you look through this, what you do not see is just an x. You don't have just an x. So you're going to come out with a binomial. Whenever you have just one variable, it's really easier and shorter to solve for that variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract x squared from both sides. So this is 4x squared plus 6, those cancel, is equal to 367. Solving for x, you get 4x squared is equal to 361. Divide by the coefficient 4. And you get x squared is equal to 361 over 4. To undo a squared, you take the square root of both sides. But what you cannot forget is when you take the square root of both sides, your answer is going to be plus or minus. The square root of 361 is 19. The square root of 4 is 2. And that's where we get this answer, plus or minus 19 halves. This is shorter and easier, less room for error. Just can't forget your plus or minus. Number 8. We still have terms on both sides of the equal sign, so of course the first thing we want to do is distribute that 4. So we have 5x squared is equal to 12 plus 4x. Then we're going to get everything in decreasing power on one side and set it equal to 0. 5x squared is the highest exponent. Bring the positive 4x over and it becomes negative 4x. Bring the positive 12 over and it becomes negative 12 is equal to 0. I have this 5 as a coefficient of x squared, so I have to bottoms up and say 5 times negative 12. So we have x squared minus 4x minus 5 times 12 is 60 is equal to 0. Set up your two binomials equal to 0. The signs will be different. X plus and x minus. Well, what are factors of 60 that subtract and give us 4? That would be 10 and 6. 10 gets this first sign, which is negative. 6 gets the positive. Remembering that if you multiply in by 5, you have to divide out by 5. So we divide both of these terms here by 5. When reduce when you can, but if you can't, 5 goes from the bottom up, and 10 over 5 reduces to 2. Then you're going to set both of these equal to 0. 5x plus 6 equals to 0 and solve. and you get negative 6/5. Set x minus 2 equal to 0, and you find that x equals 2. So this is where we get the answer, negative 6/5, 2. On this last one, it's a little unique, and I wanted to kind of bring one of these up, but it's probably the easiest problem here. What's confusing is that you have two binomials and you have this coefficient out here, but it is already set equal to 0. So what someone has already done for you is they've taken out a greatest common factor of 4x, so there's one term, and they factored it into these two binomials. So you have three terms that are already set equal to 0. So you simply set each term equal to 0. So you have 4x equals to 0, 3x minus 9 equal to 0, and 5x plus 3 equals to 0. When you solve for each, x is 0, x is 3, or x is negative 3/5. They put at least or greatest, negative 3/5, 0, and 3, but if it's already factored for you, there's nothing you can do to factor it, it's already set equal to 0, you just set each one of those terms equal to 0. So it's really, it looks maybe the most complicated, but it's probably the easiest equation that we've solved. So this is solving equations, quadratic equations by factoring.